First, I want to thank you all for coming. It's the second day of the conference, last breakout session. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. My name's Bill Yetman, VP of Engineering, and
I'm Adam Davis. I'm the Data Visualization Team Lead.
Okay, and so first, let's do a show of hands. Anybody used Ancestry.com? Hands up. Any of you subscribers? Okay, I love every single one of you. And I see I've got more people to do work with. This is really about Ancestry's journey with Tableau, how we moved to a self-service organization. I really hope that it's fun and a little bit entertaining. And the best part about this is that Adam and I are doing this as a tag team. I give you the management point of view of how everything went, and he has to do all the demos. So if the demos don't work, it's right there. So we'll get started. Here's our agenda. I'm going to talk a little bit about Ancestry, give you an overview. And then I'm going to flip into our story. And it's our story with Tableau. It's our story about how we become more of a self-service organization, where we started and where we went. Adam's going to take over and do challenges and solutions, some of the success points, and he'll jump in and do some demos. And we'll talk about future opportunities, where we see ourselves going with Tableau and with our data. Sound okay? And there should be time for questions at the end, and save them. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Okay, discover, preserve, and share. That's our mission. The interesting thing is to see the technologies that are needed to manipulate the data to deliver this. It's a simple mission statement, but there's a lot behind it. Okay, we're the world's largest online family history resource. These are all the properties. 2.7 million paid subscribers all across these sites. Okay. So, data is key. Our executive VP, Eric Schaut, likes to say, Ancestry is a technology company hiding as a family history company. We're one of the best kept secrets is how much data we manipulate, the technologies we use to move that data, and everything we need to keep things under control. We have records from 67 different countries. We have records that go back to 1370, and we're constantly adding to these collections. So we add, on average, about 2 million records a day to the 14 billion digitized records that we have on the site. So we're constantly moving things forward. Okay, census records, birth, marriage, death, newspapers, draft cards, city directories. The challenges come from having a diverse set of unstructured data. And if you know anything about history and family history, borders, countries, cities change, and names change. And it's hard to keep track of things as they go back over time. Then you have new immigrants that come to a country like America, and they want to change their names because they want a fresh start. So if you want to go back in history, the challenges with this data are really unique and make it really fun and an interesting place to work. And it makes it a hard problem to solve. So from a technology and product experience, we've, that's the right slide. Oh, anyway, we have a viewer that shows our census records, and what we found is that if we pop up the information out of those records and allow people group the entire family, it's much more effective. We have family tree visualizations, and you think that's a simple problem until you get back to Utah pioneers who have a lot of wives. So laying out the pedigree for like Brigham Young is a challenge. So there's things like that that we constantly come up against. And then we have Ancestry DNA. And DNA is the ultimate authority on your family history. So by spitting in a tube, we can connect you with genetic cousins and help you break through walls in your family history research and connect you with people you didn't even know were related to you. We can prove or disprove family mysteries based on your ethnicity. We've seen a lot of customers come back and say, I thought I was, African American. I heard that that was in my background. And I found out that, yes, I am African American, and I'm 8%. My father shows that. My mother doesn't. So it proves which side of the family it came down. So, it's just another way to connect in and have, discoveries. Our DNA pool is over 500 million right now. That's 500 million people, 500,000, 500,000 people who have taken the test. But every time somebody takes a test and contributes their DNA to our pool, it's another chance for connections to be made, another way to move you forward in your history and your journey with family history. So customer engagement. Anybody seen Who Do You Think You Are? Okay. A lot of that research is coming from us, the research for the show. That's another way. It's a very popular show. It shows how universal family history is. And it's really a good connection for us out and about. But let's talk about our story. And this is really, Tableau's role in Ancestry's data strategy, why we went and selected Tableau, what we were using before, and how, and you might find some of the same challenges that we had in your organization. So we're a very traditional BI tool, right? We had a team of dashboard developers, and people would come and say, I want a new dashboard, and you go develop it. Well, as a team of 3, they're a bottleneck in the organization because people just wanted dashboards. We had analysts who were SQL jockeys. They wouldn't use anything but SQL and Excel. And the tools we were using had a very steep learning curve. So it was very difficult for us to get the organization to be self-serving. They just didn't want to do it. So the challenge was, what tool, how can we get the organization to be self-service? So that was an executive challenge that came to me and said, hey, how do we become much more of a data-driven org? And how do we move quicker and share insights faster? So that was a challenge that came to me. So we tried several options. We started with Visual Insight from MicroStrategy. We had some training and workshops, and we found everybody went back to their Excel spreadsheets, right? And we were very Excel oriented. That's how it was. So you put your information in Excel, email it around, and then you can't keep track of who made the last changes, what data is right. It gets to be a real mess. So we thought, okay, let's try the Microsoft BI tools, Power Pivot and Power View. They're Excel, makes sense. What we found were different challenges. Our desktops, the usual desktop for marketing and analytics, needed a lot more memory and a lot more power to process these things. And it still was a spreadsheet. So the visual pieces that we saw were tables in a spreadsheet. We didn't get the visual insights and the things that we wanted. We happened to have 2 licenses for Tableau Desktop that had expired. So Adam came to me and said, look, can we find the money to get these redone? So I said, sure, let's bring them up to date. So we got, I believe it was 8.1 or 8.0 or 8.1 that we downloaded and brought in, and we just started playing with Tableau Desktop. Now, I'm going to warn you, if you do something like this, the special email that goes out to your Tableau rep goes out immediately, right? And they start calling you, about 3 days later, right? So be aware that that's what's going to happen. So we decided to do they called us, we talked to them, we decided to do an evaluation, a proof of concept. So do a 2-week free trial. Let's get our 30 desktop users, pick 30 people, get them on the licenses, and see how this goes, and publish it to a website and see how it went. So for 2 weeks, it was very successful. We had 120 views created. It was interesting to see that the Excel users, the Excel bigots, were the ones who went out and adopted Tableau fast. We have the financial planning and analytics team. Those guys refused. They refused to get rid of Excel. By the end of this 2 weeks, they were all over Tableau. It was really interesting to see. So we had a little show and tell. We got people together, and we awarded prizes, had everybody demo what they were doing. It was really kind of cool. So we had like the most colorful, the most viral, most put together. We gave away all these little prizes. So after that, this is where the problem starts. And if you do this, just be aware. Because everybody goes, okay, what are you going to do? You're going to turn this off? You can't turn this off. I got to have this. So you go back to your Tableau guy and you kind of go, yeah, the POC was really cool. We're trying to put together a few dashboards for the executives. Can you extend us out for another couple weeks? Right? And then a couple weeks go by and you go, yeah, I'm still working on those dashboards. Can you kind of extend them out a little more? And we got kept going 6 or 8 weeks. Finally, the last time they went, look, this is it. We'll do it one more time. That's it. But that's not a very good negotiating position if you're trying to buy a license from somebody, is that you're trying to feed through. Just be very aware that if you do that, you could be in the same boat. Okay, so this was one of our, it's a little busy, but this was one of the things we did. It was a comments dashboard. And this is one of the comment objects that's in our system. So we actually had this show what photo, user-contributed photo, have most people commented on. And we found that we had one photo that had 687 comments, and it was a crest. It was a family crest. And for whatever reason, people kept commenting on it and going back and forth. And then we said, what user has done the most comments? And so some guy with a tree that is about 10,000 nodes in their tree, family members in their tree, went through with every photo, anything that he'd ever opened, and put a comment on every single one of them, right? And so he had something like 4,500 photos or images that he's commented on. But that's a kind of user behavior that you can start seeing when you tie your data up with something that's visual. So this was one of the. Did we give Cindy a prize for this one? I don't remember if we did or not. If we didn't, we were pretty. Yeah. We were pretty cheap.
We owe her still, I think.
But it gives an idea of what people were able to do. So I'm going to hand it over to Adam, and now comes the fun part.
So Bill kind of, with jumping in and doing all this and, listening to me and, renewing these 2 Tableau licenses, he basically created this big problem, right? All of a sudden, this is all taken off. And
so the executive always creates problems,
he creates a problem, and he says, you guys fix this, make it work. So we, it's all cohesive here.
So the deal was that I get it into people's hands, make a mess out of everything, and I turn to him and go clean it up.
That's right. Lucky us. No, it's a great problem to have. So we've definitely faced some challenges as we jumped into this. I think really as we talked about this and looking back on things, we never had plans for as big of an implementation as we have right now. No. We originally just looked at those 2 licenses and said, let's look at it, see if it grows organically in the organization. But here we are. So adoption just took off. The interesting thing is we're exactly 1 year since implementing. We just missed the conference last year. We were, I think, doing our evaluation right about this time last year. So in the 1 year, it's just been, amazing. Just the adoption, at least compared to, for us, our previous tools and the experiences we'd had trying to implement some of our business intelligence and analytics tools. So in that time, we opted to, go with a server license, an 8-core CPU server-based license. We really just didn't want to limit anyone from having access. We thought that was critical to being able to have success with the tool. I've talked to people since who've had some challenges with adoption. and a lot of time it leads back to this issue of licensing. So that was one of the things we really wanted to make sure everybody had access, at least where they should. We got 100 desktop users. I think our ratio is a little high compared to the size of our company for a typical implementation, but again, we wanted to get it in the hands of the people. We saw the success in the evaluation, and we wanted people to get their hands on the tool and on the data and see what happens, right? We'll make a mess and we'll clean it up after. So yeah, just in that year, we've got 1,350 views across about 350 different workbooks. So it took off, just blew up in a hurry on us. So yeah, we just really went from just struggling to get people to look at the dashboards we were building, get people to use a tool, to everybody just flocking to it. I think they saw a few organizations started to have success with the tool, and then others wanted to do the same, and it just kind of spread. So this is the real problem that we were presented with then. So, the adoption, you don't think that would be a problem, except that now you've got this self-service model, and this tends to be the question that gets posed or raised. Now you've got this chaotic reporting or this Wild West reporting. What are you going to do to rein that in? How are you going to channel that so that you get the right data in front of the right people at the right time? So, this question was raised by a number of different people in the organization. How are we going to do this? We started looking around at a lot of solutions. We knew Tableau was working, but part of the problem we found was we hadn't seen anything that really brought it all together very well. If you're like me, you like to look at data visualization, blogs, different things, and I kept seeing these articles about these dashboard templates coming up, and I was interested in this. Would be awesome if we could have something that looked like this, but how are you going to do that, right? So I started searching around. I started searching around to see what these things were built on, to see if it was something that we could use, that we could implement, see if it was realistic to do. So I settled on that most of the ones that I liked the best were built on Bootstrap, if any of you are familiar with that. Project from Twitter. They just kind of wanted to conform basically their HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. They're pre-built JavaScript, jQuery objects that you can use in a website. Basically, it was a really quick way. Sorry. This one. Maybe I should stay forward or something. We'll see. So anyway, so it's licensed. It's free software licensed under the MIT license. But really, it's just a really quick way to build a website that you can implement and get going. Like I said, built on those 3 platforms. So we just kind of like to show this off to you quickly. I know a lot of people probably have, let's see if this won't squeak. A lot of people probably have, some sort of portal. We have SharePoint at Ancestry. We use a SharePoint site. We didn't want to get into editing a SharePoint page. If you've done that before, you're probably familiar with how painful that can be. So we just thought we wanted to be quicker, a little lighter, and just move, fast. So we kind of put together our own little portal that, in our opinion, at least got us closer to looking like those visuals that we had seen from a number of different sites. Let's see if I can get to this. Maybe, hold on.
This is why I sit back and watch.
Yep.
May have to escape out. Push. It's okay.
There we go. Let's
There
see
you
if this
go.
will work. See if we're going to do it from up here. Wow, sorry about this.
Okay.
Ah, the problem right there. It's always Bill. That's right. So it's probably scrunched a little bit. But anyway, this is kind of the portal that we came up with, based on this Bootstrap platform. It's pretty simple. What we really tried to focus on was how we were going to break out these metrics or these reports that we were trying to consolidate and put in front of our executive or management teams. We went with kind of a hybrid approach of putting it into like business units or business categories of our marketing, our product team, our executive team, as well as breaking it down more specific to data sets or metrics, right? So if you get down lower, you'll see it's specific to some of the different metrics that we're tracking and looking at. Jump to this. So the nice thing was, and I guess because it's scrunched, we got a bunch of pound signs. The nice thing was for us was it was so easy to do. If you're familiar with doing the embed JavaScript snippet that you can grab right there, you can throw it into a web page real easy. It's a super simple thing to do. Grab that, put it in a page, and you'll have it rendered. You can modify the size and a few things like that, but it's pretty simple to do that. I will highlight that we did do a few of these. These first few are more of kind of tickers. They're hourly tickers that our executives like to look at regularly to see if are we getting more signups on the site because we're running this campaign or whatever. It's just they sit there and hit F5 on this all day, so they just love it. We used to actually track that and see how frequently we had a leaderboard going on and stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, those are not looking real good. But basically, what it gave us was this ability to, rather than being back and forth in server, where you've got to go to a visualization, now you've got to go back and search for what user or what tag, that you're looking for. This just gave us the ability to switch, using these Bootstrap pre-built objects to just kind of switch back and forth. So you put a lot of data in front of the users quickly, right? That was kind of the thing that made it appealing to us. And then you don't give up any of the functionality that you have in Tableau. You've still got all of your filtering, functionality here. You've still got the toolbar. We've moved it to the bottom because you can do that with the JavaScript, embed code. But it's still all there. You can download the workbook. So we really liked that aspect. We didn't want to give up anything that we had, as far as Tableau's functionality was concerned. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of other features that come along with it. You can maximize this to full screen or minimize it. You can actually, if you wanted to, put multiple of these little widgets on there, so you could render 3 or 4 different Tableau dashboards with different tabs on the same page. So it just gave us that versatility and functionality that we were looking for. Let's see where I'm going here. Mostly just reports. Let me jump over to the data dictionary. So part of our goal to become more data-driven as an organization, in conjunction with becoming more of a self-service organization, we felt that we needed to educate the users, educate the people that are working with the data. I think if you talk to any developer, anybody that's doing anything that's got to do documentation, as soon as you mention that, they're going to just cringe, right? Everybody loves documentation. We just wanted to make it a little less painful, and we thought we'd try and build something in Tableau that would enable this. As well as ride on the coattails of the success we'd had with Tableau. We don't have to refer you to some other document for documentation to know, hey, this is what this metric means. So we just built it inside of Tableau, embedded it right inside of the portal. It's really a pretty simple thing. What we've done, again, it's kind of scrunched here, but
none of these numbers are real.
yes, this is mocked up data.
It's all mock data.
We're doing way better than this. But what it gave us was, really all we've done again here is this is actually 2 different Tableau workbooks. We've built one that's kind of a shell, the outer data dictionary. It's just got a list. It's just linking to a database with a list of terms and definitions. And then we build these other just single page, single view workbooks that we can just publish out there that we can link back to and use the embed URL feature to render that inside of Tableau. So it's Tableau in Tableau, basically. But we, basically what it does too is it gives you more of a view, rather than just a term and a definition. Now you've got a term and a definition and then some baseline reports to refer back to make sure if you're working with this metric, you better make sure that your reports tie back to this kind of approved number, basically. So, and then we've done a few other little features like add in, like just the search functionality to be able to search for things. We've expanded it and just categorized it into a few different categories, data warehouse specific, metrics and attributes, and then tables, and then a lot of the logging that happens on the website, the business events that happen, specific things around those. So, and let me jump down here. Another issue that we faced too is here we are with Tableau. We do have other tools. Obviously, I think a lot of you probably experience this, but we wanted to create a cohesive, experience for our end user. So we do use a different tool for our mobile currently. We're excited to see more about what comes out with mobile in the future for Tableau, but currently we use a different tool. So we wanted to pull it all together so that to the end user, they don't know or care that it's a different tool. It's just there, and they can browse to this with their iPad or phone and download this app and check it out on this little app store. So that was a nice feature, just to be able to pull it all together. Yeah, I think that's it on that. See if I can switch back now. Yes, success.
Not bad.
All right. So it's supposed to have numbers at the top if you didn't figure that out, not pound signs. So let's see if I can get this to keep going here. 1 second. Guess it's not going to do it. There we go. So, we were part of building this portal. Suddenly we got it out there, and all of a sudden we started getting requests to put reports into the portal. Chris Love, from the Information Lab, he posted a blog post, the 5 indicators you aren't using Tableau to its full potential, basically a guide to you're doing it wrong. And he basically said the first one is, if all of your dashboards are looking like this, or they're just grids, right? If they're all coming out like this, then you're obviously doing something not quite right. Well, that was funny because then we started getting a bunch of dashboards to put in the portal that looked exactly like this. And we thought, no, we're just not right. So we've started to kind of, help people learn what are good visualization techniques. We have, for the portal, my team will just take and put it all together. But we're trying to encourage more of what you want should be in a little better format. We took a report that looked exactly like that and put it in a format like this. In fact, it was a case where an end user had received an analysis from an analyst that looked like that, and then came to us and basically said, this doesn't work. It's not working for me. So at least here you can see the trend lines. I had a meeting with some of the analysts, and I said, back on the other view of the grid view, I just posed the challenge to them. Tell me what month is performing the best, out of your visualization here, if you want to call it that. And, they couldn't do it, or they're trying to pinpoint it. And then we showed them this view to just say, look, here's how you can quickly tell something, the trending, just the basics. But sometimes that's what you got to get back to. If you're struggling with that, I just recommend getting out there on the blogs. A lot of what we do to figure out new things is just following. These are some of the favorite blogs we like to follow. It's just helped us. A lot of them have tutorials on how to do some of the things. We just look around and see some of the cool visualizations, and we go figure out how to do it, is all it really amounts to. Most of the time, obviously, you can download them. You're aware of that in Tableau Public if they're out there, and pull it down and just figure out how it was done. So some of the successes, some of the things we found that have worked well for us in Tableau, and first one was our PR Mother's Day campaign. So this was new territory for us, right? We hadn't ever worked a lot with PR. We'd done some simple internal reports for numbers for them, but not a lot as far as visualization was concerned. They approached me and said, hey, we've got this Mother's Day campaign coming up. We have this data set. They worked on it with the University of Minnesota to kind of consolidate all of this with some researchers there to track the rates of mothers working outside the home by state and then across time. So we're taking a lot of census record data that we have, consolidating it and putting it into a visualization. It was a really simple data set. It wasn't very complicated. It had a single metric, and it had, I think, 2 dimensions. And they said, make it work. Make something look good. So So we did exactly that. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, we looked around some blogs, got some ideas, and then kind of adapted it to work for ourselves. It was then featured on the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Time.com, New York Daily News, embedded using Tableau Public in the news article in the website. So that was pretty exciting. And then later, we discovered that it was on the Viz of the Day on Tableau Public. So that was exciting for us to both be expanding into a new territory, working with PR on putting stuff out externally. I think before they just would have put out a little table of numbers and said who changed from one to the other. But so not only we do that, but then we lucked out and got on the Viz of the Day on our first try. So not to toot our own horn, right? But this is just an accompanying visualization that just let you compare the state to the national average, and then just kind of a little timeline view to go with it. So maybe I'll show a quick demo of this here in just a second too. And this is just so you believe me that it really was on some of these websites. But after we ran the campaign, I talked to the guy that was over for PR, and he said, this was really our most talked about and successful campaign as far as, from the executive organization. They really were excited about this opportunity to put our data out, but put it out in a format that was appealing. So that was exciting for us. And then we got pretty excited about this, because today we're sitting in the Keynote, and it might not look like much, but hey, it was up there. That was from ours. So I snapped the picture right before I switched, so that was pretty exciting. But so obviously, using Tableau Public was awesome for us. It was, like I said, a new experience, something we hadn't been able to do before, just get that data out there in a way. With our current tools, we just didn't have a means of doing it. You put in, I don't know, a screenshot, I guess. But along with that, Matt, mentioned that this visualization was key to them landing the story with some of these bigger news organizations as well. So. And then they're back for more. We're working on another one for them, so that's kind of exciting. One other quick example. This is more of a business user example. Our A/B testing team on the website, our testing and optimization team, they were having a little bit of frustration in getting analysis back from our analytics team. Analytics, with everybody becoming more data-driven, was inundated with requests. And so they approached us and just said, hey, we've submitted 40 requests for analysis. And so far we've got 3 back. And they were just kind of frustrated with it. So they reached out and said, can we get on Tableau desktop? Can we just get a license? What's it going to take? We'll pay for it if we need to. So we got them a license. And they seriously had a simple dashboard up in about 3 days. Not the most exciting, not the most visually appealing. Pretty standard colors right there out of the box, It wasn't anything really that was amazing as far as visually, But it was exciting for them. They got really excited because now they're able to share on server and publish this out. And ironically, as much as that's not our favorite looking dashboard, it is the most viewed dashboard right now, as of our past 30 days currently. So it's just, they got excited because they were able to do it, and now they're spreading it around to everybody else. So that was kind of a neat experience right there. So, what's next for us, right?
Yeah, I'll risk turning back the mic on. We'll go like that. We have a couple things that we're looking for in the future. One is Hadoop and Hive. I'm not suggesting that you do all your data exploration in Tableau. But once you have some things organized in Hadoop and Hive, putting a visualization on top of it can really help you understand some of that data and help you decide what you're going to pull into a data warehouse or where you're going to move it. And we're still experimenting with this on our side. What's the right level? How do we, where do we go at it? And what do we do? So that's a little bit tricky, but another area where we think we can get a big bang out of Tableau. There's other departments in the organization that we're trying to also get excited about it. Again, find the Excel jockeys, the people who are using Excel a ton. you had the DNA science team reach out.
Yeah, we recently our DNA science team, I think they've been using like some things like Google visualization and other things.
Well, if you know anybody that's doing predictive analytics or anything, they're using R, and pieces like that. So they're really good at the data and the visualization. But man, they really liked getting a hold of Tableau.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're just excited to see what they can do next. And then we do put a lot of information out publicly about some of the DNA stats. So that'll be an exciting opportunity with Public as well.
Yeah, especially as that continues to grow. As far as expanding the functionality, I want to get it into the dev world a little more. We do a lot of monitoring. We have a lot of server tools. How do I show that visually very quickly and see, am I healthy? Am I alive? What's going on? Now, I want the website to stay up no matter what, so I can see my metrics and everything going crazy, but I want the website staying up, right? And so how can we, very quickly see, what's going on? And then we're excited about the future of mobile, especially the future of mobile with Tableau, seeing what we can do, what we can leverage.
Yeah. And then we're just constantly looking at ways we can take Tableau server or some of the functionality in there and expand it out. Like I said, we started using the JavaScript API a little bit. That's kind of early for us. We're looking at using some of the other APIs as well. So yeah, we're just excited about how we can continue to make it more of an enterprise solution, and we're excited with what Tableau has coming to kind of help with that as well.
So at this point, that's us. That's our journey. That's what we did. I still want to let the organization sort of guide us in the next things to do. We'll kind of follow where they're going rather than being too, prescriptive and say you must do it this way, you must do it that way. But one of the things that's been very successful is to have the portal and have a location where the numbers that are in that are blessed. And so if you're going to present them to an executive, you better go check to see that those numbers match. Because if they don't, it's your fault, not mine, right? And so little things like that have been a big win. And the other piece was doing the POC and seeing that the organization adopted this tool. We didn't force it down anybody's throat. They went out, they adopted it, and we went, oh my God, how do we negotiate, a license for this, right? So get it in the hands of people who really are making the business decisions and really need the data. And Adam started using Tableau Public, right? And that was a great way to get our story with our data out to a much wider audience. And then our goal as a BI team, get out of the way, right? Let people be successful and let them go. Okay.
That's right. I just realized I didn't switch to demo our little,
you want to demo
public thing. I was going to demo that.
Okay, we're going to demo the
right
public thing.
That, so
if
I'll jump
okay.
to that, and then we can jump on to questions.
I'll jump on to questions.
If I can get back to it. Yes.
Ah, you made it.
Get the mouse over there.
It's wild mouse.
Like I said, it's really just a simple visualization, but we just kind of wanted to show off a little bit of the functionality. We did the two maps just so you can see a comparison of the two. What the story was really highlighting was the shift that happened. As you can see on 1930 compared to 2010, you can highlight and see that South Dakota completely flipped and became the #1 for working mothers, whereas the bottom of the country in 1930. And the sliders just give you the functionality to switch and see how they all adjust. And this drives that side, and this drives that side as far as the columns work as well. So, quick jump over here. You can see the South Dakota trend. Figure since we're hanging out in Washington, pretty close, right? Not too shabby. So, like I said, I think simplicity. Like I mentioned in the blog post, we follow Kelly Martin a lot in the VizCandy. We really like how clean she's made her dashboards. I'm sure most of you have probably seen her blog, but getting a lot of the clutter that's just natively in a visualization out of the way, cleaning it up and making it simple that people understand what they're looking at. So with that, oops, there we go. Let's jump to
questions. Anything? Anybody have any questions? Yeah.
You guys are rolling this out to the whole company. So are you sending them all to Tableau training or making them just watch videos? Like, how are you getting people ramped up? Is that your responsibility?
So the question is, how are people getting trained? We actually should have mentioned this. This is really interesting because basically we point them to the Tableau website and say, go watch videos. And we actually thought about having a whole training session and how we're going to run people through and train. And we decided, no, point them to the website and have them go watch videos. That's been very, very successful. Now,
Yeah, as a part of that, my organization completely changed because typically we were, before this, we were heads down in dashboards in the tool all day long, just building based on requests we had received. Now, we do a lot more of a partner organization where we're helping others build these dashboards, helping them solve the problems they run into, which has made it so we could grow at this pace, right, exponentially.
Otherwise, he doesn't have a big enough team to support the organization. Yeah. We've got to have people in their own data, doing their own thing, and being successful. And not all the data that we manipulate is in the data warehouse. We've got people that have third-party feeds from other companies that they want to join with the data warehouse. That's great. I want them to do it. I want to get out of the way.
Let's go back there.
Question?
What was the kind of data governance you instituted in process?
What kind? And the question is about data governance and how we've instituted in our process. So I'm the guilty one. I'm saying get out there and get going. But really, the two things we've done is the data dictionary. That's where you go and say, these are the terms, the business terms, and this is what they mean, and these are the reports that drive them. That's one. The second is the portal, right? You can have whatever workbooks, whatever you want, manipulate your data however you want. But if you're going to get in front of an executive and say, this metric moved this way when we did this, you better go make sure that's what the portal says. Right, so that's how we did it.
The one thing I'd add to that, we do use extracts a lot.
Yeah.
So we definitely established kind of the metadata for different data sets, and there's a set of extracts that are those approved extracts. There's a ton more that are others, that are just fed in from users, but there's that set of them that are approved. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
We allow them to go for it. The thing we want, as we talked about this, we didn't want to slow anybody down.
Right.
That was one of our main goals. We wanted people to move quickly, but with that little bit of governance, with those guide rails as well.
So go as fast as you can with bumper rails.
I was looking at the ABs from slide
Yeah.
and it was kind of contradicting to the comment that you had. You're not doing it right, and if you see, that is the most used dashboard that you would have said, right? I mean, if you do not institute any of these, without the proper governance, do you see that you are putting yourself at fault when these kinds of things happen?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it did that one. That's a great example for the problem it created. All of a sudden, the analytics organization is saying, hey, wait a minute, we haven't seen this data yet. So we do actually run it through our analytics organization. They do kind of approve and sign off on that. And then we're actually working on that dashboard now to put it into the portal. So there is some process there. We're working that out still some, but yeah, we definitely have some process to make sure that it is accurate.
So whose job is it to confirm the data? Like, how do you verify that this number is correct?
That's a good question right there.
He works for me. It's got to be his job, right?
No, we have, before anything ends up in that portal, we have a process that it goes through our manager of business intelligence, our FP&A, financial planning and analytics manager, or VP actually, and then our analytics manager as well. So those three are the gatekeepers for us to say, yes, let's put this in the portal and this looks good and right to me. So Yeah, we do have a little bit of process as far as that goes.
So I really liked that portal, and I didn't know that you could do anything like that. And I actually think one of the great struggles in my organization would be that people go to like the default Tableau server site, and they just don't know what to do.
That's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what we were facing. Yeah.
So I was hoping that you could just elaborate a little bit more on how you built it and how you feed through data from Tableau into your portal, and if you need licenses for people to be able to see that data.
Okay.
You need licenses for people to go into the, into the web server.
Sure. Great question. Yeah, you're exactly facing the challenge that we were looking at. What we were worried about with a portal was that it was going to be this overwhelming, daunting task to take on. I think I built that in a few days. Like, at least I was putting some visualizations into it.
His initial prototype was pretty quick. It was a couple days out.
And I'm not.
It was fast.
Look, it's a matter of if you know a little bit of HTML, you can strip out what you don't want in there and copy and paste that Java, snippet inside of it. It's really pretty simple. So that was the thing. We were worried about having to, work with developers and do a bunch of authentication and other things. We wanted it to be light. So it's really just a matter of embedding that in a page, in an HTML page. You can find the right place to put it. It'll work. And then, we as far as the licensing and the server side, everything, all of our security, there's no authentication to the portal. It's all handled in Tableau, in server, right? So if you're restricted as far as the views that you can see, it would happen just like it would happen in Tableau. Licensing is just whatever licensing you have for Tableau server.
And with us, we did a CPU license specifically to give anybody in the organization the chance to go view.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you're limited on server license, you'll
that was a deliberate decision that we made. Yes?
What about scalability? How are you anticipating capacity while you're deploying this out to your users?
That's a great question. We've been looking a lot at the worker nodes on server to add what we can offload of our server, background tasks for extracts and other things like that. So far, we haven't had a lot of performance issues. We anticipate, the trajectory we're on as far as views and users adopting that we'll need to continue to look at that. But so far, it's been running pretty smoothly. Yeah.
Do you govern memories or space for each user?
We don't. The compression's been really good for us, our experience with extracts, so we haven't run into a lot with that. So we haven't limited them yet. We may have to run into that at some point, but currently we don't. Yeah, go here and there.
So what did you do for your mobile apps then? So I saw your portal had a few different flavors, right? You had your web version,
Yeah.
your tablet, and smartphone. What did you guys use for that?
So that's actually in MicroStrategy. This is the tool that we use for that. That's where we're kind of saying we're making it a cohesive piece because we'd already done a bunch of work in our mobile side in that tool. So that was kind of how we pulled it all together to say, end user doesn't care what the tool is. Here's the data. Here's how you consume it.
So that was an interesting, viewpoint from our end. It's like we think Tableau has, an amazing product, but they're sort of mobile challenged, is how I'll put it. Right? They're getting somewhere. They're moving it. We really saw some benefits from using MicroStrategy's mobile tool set. So we'd love to have Tableau, fix it so we don't have to pay them and you, right? Guys wearing the green shirts.
It's great to see the portal. We have built something similar, but one thing we struggle with is version controlling it. We're using something else as a different tool to do that right now, but we still don't know how to do it properly.
Yeah, that's a real challenge. We faced a lot of that as far as like migrating between environments. Tools for that can be frustrating at times. So we're hoping for some more development around that as well. Right now, again, kind of with the gateway for the portal, we have a project that we set up that is only the data portal workbooks. And then those come through my team before they end up there. So we're the only ones that have access to that project to publish to it. So that's kind of how we get around it. I mean, it is a challenge for sure.
Two questions related to MicroStrategy. You tried Visual Insight,
Tableau, are you Roman writing on both environments, and how do you ensure consistency across those? You have the same metric that from the Tableau side and also in the mobile.
Well, I'll take the first one, and I'll give you the second one.
Sure, yeah.
Why did Visual Insight not take off? It really amounted to our users, right? What are they doing? And what we found is when we did the workshops and we did the, and got people in front of them, we had people come and, give, good demonstrations and the whole bit, workshops for MicroStrategy. And in the end, they just went back to Excel. So when I saw people adopt the tool, it doesn't take much to go, okay, they've chosen, so I better go figure out how to put it in their hands. So that was the key. It's the behavior of our users that really had us going to Tableau and moving away from MicroStrategy and Power Pivot, Power View.
Maybe a couple things on that too. Another pain point was the Flash-based interface. That was just a nightmare. And then getting data in and out, it was just a bit of a process, and users just didn't like it. You had to import it into their environment, and versus just connecting to your Excel spreadsheet and going with Tableau. So that's probably the biggest thing. As far as the metrics and keeping them all consistent, we just make sure, obviously we're connecting to the same data source is the first thing. We're connecting right back to our data warehouse. And then we just tied them out. I don't know, there's not a lot else I can say other than just testing and making sure that they're consistent and accurate.
Are you finding that users are publishing a lot of duplicate data models? Maybe there's one calculation they added or one transformation, and how do you minimize that?
Yeah, we do see definitely some overlap, especially when you get into analytics versus FP&A and they're doing similar things. We haven't really said, hey, don't do it because this person's doing it. We just, where we've opened it up and just said everybody go for it. I think the portal, again, referring back to that, I know that's what we keep going back to, but that's how we've said. A case of that, our campaign dashboard that we were working on for marketing had been done by 2 different analysts. There was a lot of overlap. There were some different pieces that was more financial and others. So we just took and consolidated the pieces from both of those for the portal. But as far as, limiting outside of that, we don't really.
For the most part, different parts of the organization have their own view of data. They may have some, like I said, a lot of marketing will have third-party feeds and everything. Some of those go into the data warehouse, some of those don't, right? So they'll have their own data. So I've seen most parts of the organization really aren't crossing over as much as you'd think. And then where we're really trying to put them together to look at all the metrics for the organization is the portal. And so that's what we're seeing. And if you want to just make another dashboard or another report with a few little changes and it's on your side of the fence, that's great.
I think you mentioned too, metrics could be in 2 different ones, and how are they consistent? If we find that, we try and make sure that we build them into the metadata, into the extracts, so that we make sure that our metadata is consistent.
Any other questions? Well, once again, thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate the time and being able to present to you. I thought you were a great audience. Have a great dinner.
Don't forget the survey.
And don't forget the survey. We were great. You loved us.